Have you ever stepped out of the shower feeling fresh, only to discover an itch, discomfort, or that odd twinge in a place you didn't expect? It's a bit awkward to admit, but as we get older, especially past 70, even the routines we've trusted for decades start letting us down. I'll be honest. I used to think a quick daily rinse was enough, but the truth is, our bodies change in sneaky ways that no one warns us about. Maybe you've had that moment too, a chuckle at yourself as you realize you've missed a spot, or you catch a whiff of something and wonder, is that me? Trust me, you're not alone. Almost everyone I know over 65 has their own little story about discovering a hidden trouble spot, usually at the most inconvenient time, like before a doctor's appointment or a family visit. But here's the good news. These aren't problems that need to be tackled with expensive lotions, complicated routines, or any sense of embarrassment. There are simple, gentle tricks, ones that don't take much time or effort, that can help you stay comfortable, confident, and truly clean every day. What if the key to feeling healthier and more independent was just a few minutes of attention to places you might be ignoring? I'll share the secrets that have helped me and countless others. Which trouble spot has caught you off guard before? Share your story below, because you deserve to feel your best every single day. If you are not subscribed, subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. Now, let's begin. 1. Foot care, your foundation for health. It's funny, isn't it, how we spend so much of our lives on our feet, literally, but rarely give them the appreciation or care they deserve. For most of us, our feet were always just there. We used them to get from the bed to the kitchen, to take our kids to school, to rush to work, or even to walk the dog around the neighborhood. Maybe you laced up sneakers for a hike through the woods, danced at a wedding, or simply padded around your favorite grocery store on a lazy Sunday. Through it all, your feet were your loyal partners, bearing the weight of your world and keeping you grounded. Sometimes, quite literally. But then something starts to shift. Maybe you notice it the first time you sit down and realize you'd rather just stay put. Or perhaps you catch yourself moving a little slower, being more cautious on the stairs, or avoiding long walks because your feet ache by the end. Sometimes, it's the subtle discomfort of dry heels snagging on your socks, or the quiet worry over a stubborn patch of redness that just won't go away. For many of us, these little changes creep up, so slowly that we hardly notice until one day we realize how much our lives revolve around whether or not our feet feel good. It's a common story, and there's no shame in it. It's almost a rite of passage as we get older, especially after 70. The thing is, the feet, those dependable friends at the bottom of our legs, don't always age as gracefully as we'd like. The changes are subtle at first. The skin gets thinner, the heels feel drier, the toes less flexible, and the circulation a bit slower. Sometimes, the feeling in our feet dulls, making it harder to notice a blister or a cut. Other times, every step sends a little jolt of pain, and suddenly, getting from the living room to the mailbox seems like a marathon. I remember my neighbor George, a retired woodshop teacher who prided himself on staying active long after most of his friends had settled into their recliners. George was always the guy mowing his lawn or fixing a creaky fence for the widow down the street. One spring, I noticed he was limping ever so slightly. I asked about it, but he brushed it off. "Just a little dry skin on my heel," he said. But a few weeks later, he was wincing with every step. It turned out that little dry skin had cracked open, gotten infected, and left him in a world of pain. It took months of visits to the podiatrist and a new pair of custom shoes before he could walk around the block again. He never stopped being active, but he often joked that he wished he'd spent more time looking after his feet and a little less time worrying about everyone else's fence. George's story isn't unique. In fact, the older we get, the more important our feet become, not just for getting around, but for our overall health and independence. When our feet hurt, we move less. When we move less, everything else in life, our muscles, our balance, our confidence, starts to slip a little. That's why caring for your feet isn't just about comfort. It's about freedom. Why foot care matters more with age. Let's talk about why our feet need more attention now than ever before. It's not just because they get us from point A to point B. It's because aging changes everything about them. Our skin loses the plumpness and resilience it had in youth. Circulation slows, meaning it takes longer for little injuries to heal. If you have chronic health conditions, like diabetes, arthritis, or poor circulation, those risks multiply. For example, diabetes can damage the nerves in your feet, a condition called neuropathy. This makes it harder to feel pain, temperature, or injury. Something as small as a blister or a hangnail can go unnoticed for days or weeks, until it gets infected. Combine that with reduced blood flow, and suddenly, you're facing ulcers or even worse. But it's not just about medical conditions. The simple act of aging makes the skin on our feet drier and more fragile. Our toenails thicken and become harder to trim. Muscles in the arches weaken, and even our bones can shift or become arthritic. All of these changes add up to one thing. Our feet need more help than ever to stay healthy. Common foot problems and their consequences. You may not realize it, but a whole host of problems can start with the feet. Let's start with the simplest. Dry, cracked heels. Maybe they start as a little rough patch you can't seem to moisturize away. Over time, those cracks can deepen. In someone younger, a cracked heel is mostly just annoying. But for older adults, it's an open invitation for bacteria and fungi to sneak in, turning a nuisance into an infection. Fungal infections, like athlete's foot, are common, especially between the toes where it stays moist. Maybe you've noticed itching, redness, or a little peeling. If left untreated, these can spread to the nails or cause secondary bacterial infections. What starts as a little embarrassment can snowball into something that sidelines you for weeks. Then there are blisters and calluses, often from shoes that don't fit quite right. With less fat padding on the bottom of our feet, as we age, even a gentle walk can cause friction. Add to that a tendency to lose flexibility in our toes, and suddenly each step is a bit of a gamble. For those with diabetes or poor circulation, ulcers can develop from the smallest cut or sore. These ulcers can take months to heal and, if ignored, sometimes require serious interventions. Even for those without chronic health issues, bunions, hammer toes, and thickened toenails can become sources of pain and infection. Worst of all is the quiet erosion of mobility and independence. When your feet hurt, you avoid walking. When you avoid walking, your legs weaken, your balance worsens, and the world feels just a bit smaller. Suddenly, visiting friends, shopping, or tending your garden feels out of reach. It's a slippery slope, but one that can be avoided with simple, regular care. A proactive foot care routine to prevent problems. The good news? Taking care of your feet doesn't require a medical degree or hours each day. It's mostly about being attentive, gentle, and consistent. Here's what that looks like. 1. Daily inspection. Start with a simple ritual. Before you put on your socks in the morning or as you settle in for the night, take a good look at your feet. Use a hand mirror if you need to. Check the tops, bottoms, between your toes, and around your heels. Look for redness, swelling, cuts, blisters, bruises, or anything unusual. Feel for tenderness, warmth, or rough spots. If it's hard to reach, ask a loved one for help or have a caregiver check. Early detection is your best friend. Small issues caught early rarely become big problems. 2. Gentle, thorough washing. When you shower or bathe, don't just let the water run over your feet and call it a day. Use warm, not hot, water and a gentle, fragrance-free soap. Carefully wash around the toes, between the toes, under the nails, and along the soles. If bending is difficult, a long-handled sponge or a foot washing brush can help. Rinse thoroughly. Soap residue can dry out skin or irritate. 3. Complete drying, especially between the toes. Moisture is the enemy of healthy feet. After bathing, gently dry your feet with a soft towel. Pay extra attention between each toe. Those little spaces are prime real estate for fungi. If reaching is hard, a hairdryer on a cool, low setting can help finish the job. Never put on socks or shoes with damp feet. 4. Moisturizing, but not between the toes. Our feet lose moisture as we age, so applying a fragrance-free, non-greasy moisturizer to the tops and soles keeps the skin supple and helps prevent cracks. But skip the moisturizer between your toes. Moisture trapped there can encourage fungal growth. Look for ingredients like urea, glycerin, or hyaluronic acid. Avoid strong scents or harsh additives. 5. Nail care. Toenails get thicker and harder with age, but keeping them trimmed is essential to avoid ingrown nails or infections. Cut them straight across, not rounded at the corners, and avoid cutting too short. If you have trouble seeing or reaching, a podiatrist can help. If you notice thick, discolored, or brittle nails, that might be a sign of fungus. Don't ignore it. 6. The right footwear. Shoes are more than fashion. They're protection. Choose shoes that fit well, snug but not tight, with plenty of room for your toes. Avoid heels, narrow points, or anything that rubs or pinches. If you wear slippers at home, make sure they have sturdy soles and don't slip off. Socks should be clean, dry, and made from natural fibers or moisture-wicking blends. Change them daily, or more often if your feet sweat. 7. Special considerations for chronic conditions. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. If you have diabetes, poor circulation, or nerve issues, it's wise to see a podiatrist regularly, even if nothing seems wrong. A specialist can spot problems you might miss, trim your nails safely, and recommend shoes or inserts that make a real difference. 8. When to ask for help. Never ignore pain, swelling, persistent redness, or wounds that don't heal. If you see pus, notice a foul odor, or develop a fever, see a doctor right away. Most issues are much easier to treat early. Don't let embarrassment or pride stop you. Taking care of your feet is taking care of your independence. Little things that make a big difference. There's something almost meditative about caring for your feet. It's a small act of self-respect, a reminder that you are worth every minute. Some of my favorite moments come from stories friends have shared after starting their routines. Take Eleanor, who always wore sensible shoes but never gave much thought to her heels. After a gentle nudge from her daughter, she started moisturizing every night before bed. "It's like I'm tucking myself in," she told me, laughing. "And my feet haven't felt this soft since I was a girl." Or Jack, who loved his daily walks around the block but kept ending up with blisters on his little toes. After switching to moisture-wicking socks and shoes with a wider toe box, he hasn't had a blister in months. "I'm not ready to give up my walks," he said. "Now I don't have to." Sometimes, it's just the peace of mind that comes from knowing you've checked, a kind of insurance policy against future trouble. And for those who struggle with bending or balance, there's no shame in asking for help. Family, friends, and even local senior centers often have resources or services for foot care. The emotional side of foot care. It's easy to think of foot care as just another box to check on the to-do list. But for so many, it's wrapped up in emotions. Pride, embarrassment, even grief for the things we used to do without thinking. Maybe you miss hiking the trails, chasing grandchildren, or dancing at a party. Maybe you worry about losing your independence or being a burden. That's normal. But foot care is also a way of taking back a little control, a way to claim every step you still have, and to honor the path you've walked so far. There's a quiet dignity in tending to your own body. Each act, washing, drying, moisturizing, inspecting, is a small promise to yourself, I'm not giving up on me. As you make it a habit, you might find yourself looking forward to those few minutes of attention, comfort, and care. Practical tips for everyday life. Keep tools handy. A soft towel, a small mirror, gentle soap, and a favorite lotion in a basket by your chair make the routine easier. Stay active and safe. Gentle stretches, ankle rotations, and short walks help keep circulation strong. Even wiggling your toes while watching TV can help. Ask about Medicare. Many Medicare plans cover podiatrist visits for those with certain health conditions. Don't hesitate to ask your doctor. Mark your calendar. A quick foot check each morning or evening can become as automatic as brushing your teeth. The bigger picture. At the end of the day, foot care isn't just about avoiding problems. It's about living fully. It's about getting out to see friends, shopping for yourself, gardening, playing with grandkids, or enjoying a beautiful day at the park. It's about the freedom to move, the confidence to stay independent, and the joy of taking every step with comfort. It's also about connection. Sharing your foot care journey, no matter how small, can help others in your circle feel less alone. You never know when your story might be the nudge someone else needs to take that first step toward better health. So tonight, as you settle in and kick off your shoes, take a moment to look down and give your feet a little gratitude. They've carried you through more than you realize. With just a few gentle minutes each day, you can make sure they're ready for all the journeys ahead. After all, caring for your feet isn't just about preventing pain or problems. It's about honoring your journey, your independence, and the life you still have to live. Every step you take is a testament to your resilience, your story, and your spirit. And you deserve to walk in comfort every day. 2. Groin area. A hidden hot spot for infection. There are certain things in life we just don't talk about enough. Some topics are brushed aside, tucked away out of embarrassment, or simply forgotten in the whirlwind of more pressing daily concerns. And yet, the older we get, the more those little taboo corners of our health come back to haunt us. Not dramatically, but as a slow, persistent itch or a subtle discomfort that whispers something's not quite right. The groin is one of those places. It's the hidden crossroads of our bodies, an intersection of skin, muscle, and sweat, quietly doing its job, asking for almost nothing in return. But after 70, this overlooked area becomes a surprising stage for problems that can erode our comfort and dignity if we don't give it the attention it deserves. I'll be the first to admit, for years, I thought taking care of the groin meant nothing more than a quick rinse in the shower. It wasn't something to dwell on, much less talk about. Even the word groin felt clinical and a little awkward. But as time passed, I learned, sometimes the hard way, that ignoring this sensitive region can lead to far more trouble than a little embarrassment. And I'm not alone. I've heard stories from friends, neighbors, and even doctors about folks who suffered for weeks or months, all because no one ever mentioned the importance of simple, daily care for this hidden hotspot. Why does the groin deserve its chapter in the story of healthy aging? Because as our bodies change, so too does this area, often in ways that catch us off guard. The skin there becomes thinner and less elastic. We lose muscle tone, which deepens skin folds and makes them more likely to trap sweat and heat. And as we slow down, or perhaps face occasional incontinence, there's more moisture and less airflow. Add in chronic conditions like diabetes or obesity, and you have the perfect recipe for rashes, irritation, and, all too often, infection. Let's be honest. Most of us, if we're lucky, don't think much about our groin unless there's an obvious problem. Maybe you catch a whiff of something unpleasant and brush it off as nothing. Maybe there's an itch you scratch absent-mindedly or a little redness you chalk up to the weather, the laundry detergent, or tight underwear. But in the world of senior health, these little nothings can become big somethings before we realize it. That's why talking openly and acting gently about groin care is one of the most underrated ways to protect your independence, your comfort, and even your confidence. The anatomy of trouble. Why the groin gets risky. The groin is unique. It's a warm, moist area, naturally full of skin folds, especially as we get older and gravity does its quiet work. Sweat collects here, even in winter. Skin rubs on skin. If you've ever noticed that underwear feels damp by the end of the day, or that your thighs stick together during summer, you already know what I mean. With age, several factors make this area more vulnerable. Thinner, less resilient skin. The skin's protective barrier weakens, which means it's easier for irritants, bacteria, and fungi to break through. Deeper skin folds, weight gain, muscle loss, or just the natural droop that comes with age all increase the number and depth of folds where moisture and heat get trapped. Reduced mobility. It's simply harder to bend, reach, and scrub thoroughly. Even drying off after a shower can become a challenge, especially if you're dealing with arthritis or balance issues. Incontinence or leakage. Even the occasional dribble adds moisture to the mix, breaking down the kin and inviting bacteria. Synthetic or tight clothing, underwear that doesn't breathe, or absorbent products like adult briefs can create a greenhouse effect, making things even more steamy. All of these conditions add up to one thing: a high risk for irritation, rashes, and infection. It's not about being dirty. It's just biology and aging working together in ways we don't always anticipate. The slippery slope. What happens if we ignore the groin? Let's paint a picture, not to alarm you, but to show how quickly a small issue can snowball. Imagine you wake up one morning and notice a faint, sour odor that lingers even after your shower. There's a little redness along a skin fold, maybe a mild itch. You promise yourself you'll keep an eye on it, but the days go by. You're busy with errands, family, or just the daily grind. One night, the itch gets worse, maybe even a burning sensation, especially after walking or sitting for a while. Still, it feels too personal to bring up, so you switch soaps, try a little extra powder, and hope for the best. Over the next week, the redness deepens, turning raw. A sticky, oozing spot appears, or perhaps the skin cracks open. Now, walking is uncomfortable, and you find yourself shifting in your chair. Your sleep is disturbed by the irritation. Finally, you work up the courage to tell your doctor, who diagnoses a fungal or bacterial infection, one that could have been prevented with just a few tweaks to your daily routine. This is the story for so many. And it doesn't just stop at discomfort. In some cases, infections in the groin can become serious, even spreading to other parts of the body if left untreated. For those with weakened immune systems or chronic illnesses, a simple rash can lead to days or weeks of recovery. The usual suspects. Common groin problems after 65. Let's look at what happens in the groin, so you can spot trouble early. Intertrigo. This is a fancy word for skin-on-skin friction in moist areas. It shows up as red, raw, sometimes weeping skin where folds rub together. Think of the crease where your thigh meets your torso. It can sting, burn, or itch, and if ignored, opens the door for infection. Fungal infections, like jock itch caused by the same culprits as athlete's foot. These infections thrive in warmth and moisture. You'll notice persistent itching, a red rash with defined edges, and maybe even some flaking or peeling. Yeast overgrowth, candida similar to fungal infections but caused by a different organism. Yeast infections tend to be more common if you're on antibiotics, have diabetes, or are overweight. The skin looks red, may develop small white spots, and often feels sore or burning. Bacterial infections. When the skin breaks down, bacteria can enter, leading to pain, swelling, pus, and sometimes fever. Cellulitis, a deeper infection, is particularly dangerous and requires prompt medical attention. There's no need for shame or secrecy here. These are normal issues, and the best weapon is honest, proactive care. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Stories from real life. Take Margaret, for instance. She was 82, spry, and independent, determined not to bother her family with minor problems. When she noticed a musty smell and a bit of irritation, she doubled down on showers and changed her underwear twice a day. But the itch spread, and pretty soon she was losing sleep. Only after her daughter insisted did she mention it to her nurse, who recognized the signs of a mild fungal infection. With a simple regimen, gentle cleaning, thorough drying, and a zinc-based barrier cream, Margaret's discomfort vanished within weeks. But her real lesson was this: I had no idea how much this little thing was draining my energy. Taking care of it made me feel like myself again. Or consider Frank, a Vietnam vet with a mischievous sense of humor, who used to tease his buddies about old man problems. When a rash appeared in his groin after a summer of gardening, he ignored it, until the skin cracked and sitting became torture. His doctor explained that sweat, heat, and tight jeans had created a perfect storm. A few adjustments to his hygiene routine, a switch to looser boxers, and a medicated cream turned things around. Frank now swears by breathable fabrics and tells everyone, don't let your pride get between you and your comfort. Building a gentle groin care routine. So, what can you do, every day, to keep the groin area healthy and comfortable? The answer is simple, gentle, and takes just a few minutes. 1. Make cleaning the groin a non-negotiable. Even if you don't shower every day, take time to clean the groin area daily. Use warm, never hot, water and a mild, unscented soap. Avoid scrubbing. Instead, use your hands or a soft washcloth to gently clean all folds and creases. Harsh soaps and vigorous rubbing damage delicate skin and can actually make things worse. 2. Dry thoroughly every time. Drying is as important as washing, maybe more so. After cleaning, pat, never rub, the area dry with a soft towel. Pay special attention to places where skin touches the skin. If you have trouble reaching, try sitting on a chair or using a hand mirror. Some people use a hairdryer in a cool setting to make sure every fold is dry. Just be gentle and keep the dryer at a safe distance. 3. Manage moisture smartly. If you tend to sweat or if you're prone to leaks, moisture can linger even after careful drying. Use a small amount of cornstarch-based powder or a zinc-based barrier cream in the folds, not talcum, which is linked to health risks. These products help absorb excess moisture and reduce friction. Never use heavily scented products or medicated powders unless your doctor recommends them. 4. Choose breathable clothing. Underwear should be loose-fitting and made from natural fibers like cotton, or modern moisture-wicking synthetics. Tight underwear, shapewear, or synthetic fabrics trap heat and sweat. Change underwear daily, or more often if you sweat. If you use absorbent pads or briefs, change them frequently, and always follow with careful cleaning and drying. 5. Inspect daily for early signs of trouble. Take just 15 to 30 seconds to check the groin for redness, odor, itching, or any changes in skin texture. If you can't see easily, use a mirror or ask for help from a trusted family member or caregiver. Early detection can stop problems before they get out of hand. 6. When to see a doctor. If you notice a rash that doesn't improve, cracks in the skin, pain, swelling, pus, or a foul odor, don't wait. Doctors and nurses are used to these issues. They'll offer advice or treatment with compassion, not judgment. Quick action prevents bigger problems down the road. Beyond the physical. Why groin care is emotional, too. Here's the truth that doesn't get said enough. Discomfort in the groin isn't just about skin. It affects your sleep, your ability to walk and sit, your willingness to join social activities, and even your sense of self. A nagging itch or chronic irritation can make you irritable, withdrawn, or ashamed. But a few minutes of gentle care can restore not just comfort, but confidence and dignity. I've seen this so often. The before and after of someone who, after weeks of secret misery, discovers relief through a simple new habit. There's a lightness, a readiness to say yes to a family outing, a laugh that comes more easily. That's the real reward, not just healthy skin, but a return to the joys of daily living. Small habits, big impact. Everyday groin health tips. Set reminders. Attach groin care to another daily habit, like brushing your teeth or making coffee. Keep supplies handy. Store a gentle cleanser, soft towel, and barrier cream or powder in a basket in the bathroom. Talk openly. Share your concerns or symptoms with a trusted friend, spouse, or health professional. You're never alone in this. Stay active. Gentle movement keeps skin healthy, improves circulation, and reduces sweat accumulation. Mind your diet. High-sugar diets can feed yeast. Eat fresh, whole foods when you can. Don't ignore leaks. If you notice incontinence, talk to your doctor. There are treatments and products that can help. An act of self-respect. Caring for your groin is not about vanity. It's about comfort, confidence, and, most of all, self-respect. It's saying, my body matters, every single part of it. It's the same principle as wearing clean clothes or brushing your hair, a quiet ritual that helps you face the world with a little more ease. It's also a gift to those you love. By taking care of yourself, you stay more independent and able to participate fully in family gatherings, outings with friends, or the simple pleasure of sitting outside on a sunny afternoon. Remember, you deserve comfort. If you take nothing else from this chapter, let it be this: you deserve to feel good in your skin. The groin area may be private, but its impact on your daily life is powerful. With just a few minutes of attention each day, you can prevent irritation, infection, and embarrassment, and reclaim the energy and confidence that come from truly taking care of yourself. So, tonight, when you change into your pajamas or prepare for bed, take that extra minute for yourself. Treat your groin with the same kindness you'd show a dear friend. After all, every part of you deserves care. Every part of you deserves comfort. And every part of you deserves to be treated with respect. 3. Navel, belly button. A hidden pocket that deserves daily care. It's remarkable how much of our lives are shaped by the small, quiet places we rarely think about. Some of them are tucked away in the mind, places where old memories sleep and come alive in dreams. And then there are the hidden corners of the body, the ones we simply forget. None, perhaps, are quite so ignored as the navel. The belly button. The navel. That tiny dimple at the center of our bodies is a silent souvenir from the very first days of our lives. If you're like most people, you've probably never given it much thought beyond a quick rinse in the shower. Maybe, if you're feeling meticulous, you might swab it out with a towel after a bath. But for many, it's just there, a tiny hollow, a mark from long ago, out of sight and out of mind. Yet, after 65, and especially after 70, this little pocket can become the source of more trouble than you'd ever expect. Its shape, a natural little cave in the middle of the abdomen, makes it the perfect hiding spot for sweat, dead skin cells, lint, bacteria, and even soap residue. It's easy to overlook, and easier still to ignore. But when neglected, it can turn from harmless to harmful at an alarming speed. I'll never forget the story of Peter, a 79-year-old retired accountant who always prided himself on his meticulous hygiene. He showered daily, kept his hair combed, his nails neat, and his clothes tidy. But one morning, as he got dressed, his daughter noticed a faint, musty odor. At first, Peter dismissed it as nothing, just a result of the summer heat, perhaps. But over the next week, the itching started. The skin around his navel grew red and tender, and one morning there was a sticky little patch that wouldn't quite dry. Reluctantly, he went to his doctor, who surprised him by saying, "Peter, I think you have a yeast infection in your belly button." It sounded almost silly, but it took several weeks, some prescription cream, and more careful daily cleaning before Peter's discomfort finally faded. Peter's story is more common than you'd think. As we age, it's not just the obvious places, like feet or hands or even the face, that need extra care. The navel, so often forgotten, can quietly collect debris and moisture, becoming a breeding ground for bacteria and yeast. For seniors, whose immune systems aren't as quick as they used to be and whose skin is thinner and slower to heal, this creates a hidden risk for irritation and infection that can sap your comfort and even your energy. Why does the navel matter more as we age? You might wonder why the navel suddenly becomes so important after 65 or 70. Part of the answer lies in the changes that come with age. The skin loses its tightness, muscles soften, and sometimes the belly button gets a little deeper, forming new crevices where dust and sweat can hide. For those who sit a lot, wear tight waistbands, or carry a bit more weight around the middle, this effect is even more pronounced. And then there's the fact that with age comes reduced mobility. Simple acts, like twisting or bending over to clean the belly button, get harder. Arthritis, stiffness, or balance problems can make it difficult to scrub, rinse, and dry every nook and cranny. Add in chronic conditions like diabetes or vascular disease, which both slow down the body's healing processes and weaken the immune system, and you have a recipe for trouble. What starts as a little discomfort, maybe a bit of itchiness, a damp feeling, or a faint odor, can turn into redness, a rash, or even a low-grade infection called ampulitis. This condition is more than just an inconvenience. For seniors, infections in the belly button can linger, requiring weeks of treatment and leaving the skin tender and sore. The hidden dangers. What can go wrong in the navel? It's easy to assume that the belly button is too small to cause big problems. But ask any nurse who's worked in elder care, and they'll tell you how many times a day they see irritated, infected navels. The symptoms are subtle at first. A musty, unpleasant odor that seems to linger no matter how much you bathe. Redness or irritation around or just inside the navel. A damp or sticky sensation that doesn't go away, sometimes with a small amount of discharge. Mild itching or soreness that gradually worsens. Pain or swelling in more advanced cases. When bacteria or yeast take hold, the infection can spread, making the skin more fragile and more vulnerable to further problems. If you have diabetes or a condition that limits your body's ability to fight off infection, even a minor case of ampulitis can require medical intervention, oral antibiotics, and plenty of patience. The risk is even higher if you have a belly button piercing, even an old one. The scar tissue can trap bacteria for years, quietly smoldering until one day, it flares up. Why cleaning the navel is easy, but often forgotten. The good news is that keeping the belly button clean doesn't take much time or effort. The bad news? Because it's out of sight, it's out of mind. For many, even those who are diligent about bathing, the navel just doesn't register as a priority. It's also a delicate area, thin skin, a bit tender, and sometimes awkward to reach. That's why it's so important to be gentle, thorough, and consistent. A little extra attention in your daily routine can make all the difference. Building a gentle navel care routine. So, what does it take to care for your navel, day in and day out? Here's a step-by-step guide to keeping this hidden pocket healthy. 1. Clean gently, but thoroughly, every day. During your daily bath or sponge wash, make a habit of cleaning your navel. Use a soft washcloth, the corner of a towel, or even a clean cotton swab. Dip it in warm, not hot, water mixed with a mild, fragrance-free soap. Harsh soaps can dry out or irritate the delicate skin. Gently insert the cloth or swab into the navel and wipe the interior with a gentle, circular motion, being careful not to press too hard or dig too deep. Your goal isn't to scrub, but to remove any accumulated lint, sweat, dead skin, or soap residue. If your navel is particularly deep, you may need to use 2 or 3 swabs to reach all areas. 2. Rinse and dry completely. After cleaning, rinse the navel with a clean, damp cloth to remove any soap residue. Soap left behind can be as irritating as dirt. Then, use a clean, dry cotton pad, tissue, or the corner of your towel to dry the area thoroughly. If reaching is difficult, a hair dryer set on cool or low, never hot, can help. Just be careful not to hold it too close. The key is to leave the navel dry, as even a little trapped moisture can encourage bacteria and yeast. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. 3. Adjust for deeper navels. If you have a deeper or more folded navel, common in older adults or those with higher body weight, clean it twice daily, especially during hot, humid weather or if you sweat a lot. 4. Watch for warning signs. Check your navel regularly for any signs of trouble: redness, swelling, discharge, a strong odor, or soreness. If you notice any of these, don't ignore them. Early intervention can keep a minor issue from becoming a long, frustrating ordeal. 5. Avoid ointments and powders unless prescribed. Don't apply oils, powders, or ointments to your navel unless specifically directed by your doctor. These can trap moisture and make things worse. If you do need a medicated cream, use it exactly as prescribed. 6. Choose breathable clothing. Tight, non-breathable waistbands can cause friction and trap sweat. Opt for loose-fitting, breathable pants and underwear made from cotton or modern moisture-wicking fabrics. Change clothes if they become damp, especially after exercise or gardening. Real stories. The power of small habits. I once visited a senior living community and spoke to residents about daily self-care. A lovely woman named Lorraine, 76, shared her own story. She'd always been meticulous about hygiene, but never thought about her belly button. When she started developing a persistent itch and slight discharge, she was mortified. "I thought I was just dirty, or doing something wrong," she confided. But after a visit to her nurse and a few days of gentle cleaning, the symptoms disappeared. Lorraine now jokes with her friends that she's the queen of clean navels, and encourages them to add this step to their routines. Another friend, Sam, was a veteran with diabetes. He noticed a sore spot in his navel after a week of hot weather but brushed it off. When he finally mentioned it at a checkup, the doctor caught a low-grade infection in time. Sam says, "I never thought my belly button would cause more trouble than my knees. Now, I don't skip it." These stories are a reminder. There's no shame in a little extra care. Sometimes, it's the smallest routines that bring the biggest peace of mind. The emotional side of navel care. It might sound silly, but caring for your navel is more than just hygiene. It's a small act of attention to a place that connects you, quite literally, to your very first day in the world. It's a reminder that every part of your body, no matter how hidden or humble, deserves care and respect. For many older adults, the act of tending to the navel becomes a tiny ritual, a daily affirmation that you're still in charge of your well-being. It's a way to reclaim comfort, dignity, and a sense of control, even as the world around you changes. Practical tips for every day. Keep supplies handy. Place a small washcloth, cotton swabs, and a gentle soap near your bathing area. Use a mirror. If your vision isn't what it used to be, or if reaching is difficult, a small hand mirror can help you see what you're doing. Ask for help if needed. There's no shame in asking a family member, caregiver, or nurse to help with cleaning if you have trouble reaching or seeing your navel. Make it routine. Attach navel care to another daily habit, like brushing your teeth or changing clothes. Celebrate little victories. If you notice your navel feeling fresher, less itchy, or more comfortable, take pride in your effort. When to seek medical advice. If you notice persistent redness, pain, discharge, especially if it's foul-smelling or yellow/green, swelling, or any signs of infection, call your doctor. Seniors with diabetes, compromised immunity, or a history of abdominal surgery should be especially vigilant. Early treatment prevents complications. The bigger picture. Small acts, big impact. Tending to your navel may seem trivial, but it's an act of self-respect. It says, "Every part of me matters." It's also a quiet defense against the little discomforts and indignities that aging can sometimes bring. In just a few seconds a day, you can reduce your risk of skin irritation, odor, and infection, giving yourself the gift of comfort and confidence. Over time, these small habits add up. You find yourself moving more easily, worrying less about little itches or odd smells. You feel fresher in your clothes, and more comfortable at rest and in motion. You might even discover, as so many have, that a simple act of care in one small place can ripple outward, making the whole day brighter. So tonight, or tomorrow morning, as you stand in the bathroom mirror, take a moment for yourself. Reach for that towel or cotton swab and give your belly button a little extra care. It's a quiet ritual, an almost invisible gift, but it's yours. And you deserve it. As we wrap up this journey through the hidden corners of our bodies, I hope you're walking away with more than just a few new tips. Maybe you're feeling a gentle nudge to give your feet, your groin, and even your navel a little extra care each day. A small promise to yourself that comfort and confidence aren't just things of the past, but can be a daily part of your life, no matter your age. These aren't just routines or chores to cross off a list. They're quiet acts of self-respect, the kind that says, I'm still here and I still matter. The truth is, getting older isn't about giving up on the little things. It's about finding new ways to protect the freedom you've worked so hard for, to savor the independence that lets you walk, move, and simply be yourself. There's a kind of dignity in taking time for these private, everyday rituals. Each gentle wash, each careful inspection, each moment of comfort. These are the gifts you give yourself, quietly but powerfully, every day. So as you look forward to tomorrow, I invite you to hold on to one lesson that surprised you most today. What's one thing you'll carry forward into your routine? Share it in the comments below. Your story might be just what someone else needs to hear. You deserve to live well, with comfort and confidence, every step of the way.